What makes a good alarm clock? Is it the calm and soothing sounds? Or is it a gentle light that slowly wakes you up? Perhaps it's a caressing, loving touch. Or maybe it's some positive, inspiring messages. But why would I make such an evil little hexagon? I've recently been struggling with getting out of bed in the morning, and hitting the snooze button 19 times in a row hasn't been doing my marriage any favors. So to keep the hooded one away, I need to create an alarm clock so diabolical, so conniving, so painful that it would be impossible for me to hit snooze and go back to sleep. And after a record-setting 3 minutes of intense brain activity, I came up with 8 key ingredients to making the most infuriating alarm clock ever to exist. I'm talking light, sound, getting shot, a terrible user interface, gaslighting, solving for X, and a final mystery feature that makes everything much more maddening. The first one I started with was the getting shot feature, so that the federal agents can stop watching and get back to work on bringing home that lucky number 7. Now, if you've watched my heat-seeking Nerf sentry gun video, you'll know that I used this bad mamba jamba to curb my increasingly crippling meatball addiction. And if you haven't watched it yet, you're tacky and I hate you. It worked pretty well overall, but had some major issues when other things were hotter than me, such as the garage door or 98% of the world's population. I've since solved this issue by changing the month from August to October, and with the chilly mornings, I stick out like a turd in fresh snowfall. The big challenge here is getting the turret to communicate with the alarm clock, namely because the alarm clock exists only in our imaginations. To bring the clock from figment to malignant, I picked up another Arduino Uno, which will be the brains of the clock. The two Duinos will be able to chat using a communication protocol called I2C, which stands for I2 Communicate. Don't look that up. I2C uses 2 wires named SIDA and SICKLE that send electrons back and forth at very precise times to trick the Arduinos into thinking a message has been sent. I infected the sentry gun's brain with I2C, and despite my impeccable wiring job, the 2 sentient rocks refused to talk. I had forgotten to connect the most important thing for a rock to communicate: the ground. I then depressed some plastic cubes in a sequentially fruitful way, resulting in 2 Arduino Unos successfully insulting each other. After settling their differences, I connected a couple of buttons to control the firing of the sentry from the alarm clock Arduino, and lo and behold, it worked. Now that the physical pain part of the alarm clock is over... Wait, what? It's not over? What else is causing me physical pain? My giant wallet? Oh, that's right. It's my crappy, non-ergonomical chair. And I'd like to thank the channel's first ever sponsor, FlexiSpot, for saving me from back pain. I've been gently using FlexiSpot's C7 Max Premium Ergonomic Office Chair for the past couple of weeks, and it's incredibly strong and durable. It's also so comfortable when I recline in it that it's causing some tension around the house.
What are you doing?
I'm just trying to take a nap.
The C7 Max is also a great chair if you work outdoors or are constantly on the move. I can relax knowing the wheels are rated for 100,000 duty cycles, or roughly 3.55 miles. While on the go, I can even watch this guy have a gamer moment on the seat cushion, with the chair brushing it off like it's nothing. Even after all this abuse, no part of the C7 Max is loose, because all the bolts come with the best flavor of Loctite, and I even tried my best to strip the bolts to no avail. FlexiSpot also offers a range of small home appliances, including air purifiers and vacuum cleaners. During Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, when you purchase any FlexiSpot desk or chair, you can get small home appliances for as low as $49.99. Use my code 24BFC7 to get an extra $50 off a C7 Max chair, and thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Light is an extremely useful way to wake somebody up, and if the sentry gun won't blind me, maybe my neighbor's landscaping lights will. But I didn't realize that landscaping lights only turn on when looking at a landscape. After a super useful Google AI result, I learned the glass plate is what detects the landscape and determines whether or not to turn the light on. I carefully removed the glass and learned a very valuable lesson on why you shouldn't break tempered glass in your garage. And after cleaning up all 7 million glass shards, I connected the light to a relay to see just how bright it would be. Turns out, pretty bright. And after hooking a second one up and mounting them to custom brackets, they make for a pretty good light show. Okay, the next step is arguably the most important aspect of an alarm clock: The audio. Believe it or not, these speakers aren't just for bumping sick jams, as the kids would say. They can also be used to retrieve lost items and keep meaningless drawings on the fridge. But these 3 waters can't just be plugged in directly and expected to work. That'd be asking too much of them, and the speakers would consider this rude. So I got this audio amplifier and MP3 player, and then I got another MP3 player. The Arduino will tell the MP3 player what to play, the MP3 player tells the audio amp, and the amp tells the speakers. This is considered polite. The issue here is that my power supply is 12 volts, which will cause my speakers to immediately explode if I connect it. Instead, I got this tricky component called a buck converter, which you have to ride for 8 seconds without falling off in order to get it to output the correct voltage of 5 volts. And after blasting solder everywhere for a couple of hours, I was finally ready to test if the speakers worked by playing the worst sound ever made. Unfortunately, I can't actually use the song because being copyright struck by a butt-crack-wielding anthropomorphic gelatinous bear would be embarrassing. And for the 3 older folks watching who didn't think that sound was frightening, don't worry, I've got something for you too. Now, to really make the alarm clock sounds mess with my head, I reached out to the most psychotic people I know. You guys. I asked you for the worst sound to hear alone at night, and most of you came up with some great ideas, like snakes, footsteps, gunshots, or heavy breathing. But one of you needs to leave your house immediately, because that mother is haunted. Seriously, someone needs to, help this guy. Now I want you to close your eyes and relax, and imagine this is the first thing you hear in the morning. Or maybe you're lucky enough to hear this one. And this one might be my personal favorite. And what's even worse than waking up to that is waking up to an X. More specifically, waking up to an X that you have to solve for. The idea here is to require the user to solve for X to turn off the alarm. If you get the answer wrong, it gives you a new equation and you have to start over. But before we solve for X, we need a way to see what we're solving for, which is where this LCD display comes into play. And after hooking it up to the Dween, it now gives me positive messages to brighten my day. With a little bit of code and pressing some buttons, I can now input answers for X into the almighty screen. Some riveting stuff here. Oh, and before I assemble everything, you know how alarm clocks are supposed to keep time or whatever? I just used a real-time clock module that tells the Arduino what time it is and can keep track of alarms. I finally began the journey of assembling everything, and mostly because I hate myself, there are 40 screws and 40 wires to connect. And after hours of assembling and soldering and soldering and assembling, I finally connected my screen to the front panel. Nobody ever shows you how long it takes to put this crap together. I mean, I've been working on this for 3 hours, and all I've got is 4 components connected. It's crazy. What's crazy is it took me 10 hours to have the wiring look this bad, but my diabolical alarm clock was finally ready. Oh, yeah, baby. That's a nice alarm clock if I've ever seen one. Okay, let's go over its features before I put it to the test. These front buttons, not real. The real buttons are on the back and are called the pepperonis. Since they're flush with the back, they're kind of hard to find, which just makes the user mad. Using the pepperonis, I can set the time and the alarm. No tricks here. When the alarm goes off, the lights flash randomly and a math equation is given to you. Now here's the mystery feature. 7, 1, 3, 7, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4. That's right. As you're trying to solve the equation, it will constantly be shouting out random numbers to make it even harder. Oh, and the buttons don't always work when you click them. That is definitely not a bug and was an intended feature. Also, there's a 25% chance you'll enter the correct answer, but the clock will tell you you're wrong and mock you for it. Oh no, you're stupid! And of course, there's the heat-seeking Nerf sentry gun that the alarm clock controls. But you'll see what that does here in a minute. I tried to set up the clock in the bedroom, but the hooded one wasn't having any of it. So instead, I sequestered myself to the southern quarters, set my alarm, and got ready for bed. Not the snakes.
Okay. 7 minus 9 plus 5, 6, 7. That's -2. That's 1. That's 1. Got 1.
Oh no, you're stupid. I cannot explain just how hard it is to think of the correct answer and input it with faulty buttons, all while lights are blinding me and darts are assaulting me, and then the clock gaslights me into thinking my answer was wrong.
It is 2! That answer is 2!
Now let me explain how the sentry gun works. You get an answer wrong, you get shot. You take too long to answer, you get shot.
If the clock decides your answer is wrong when it's right, you get shot.
Stupid.
That was right! If you get back in bed after you've turned off the alarm, the sentry gun will use its thermal tracking to detect you and will tell the alarm clock, starting the whole process over again. After this trial, I think it's safe to say I completed my goal in making the most heinous alarm clock possible, and I definitely will not be using it.
Smell you later, alligator.
It's 8. It's 8. It's 8. It's 8. It's 8. It's 8.
If you get back in bed right now, you are never going to achieve your dreams.
Before we wrap this Guantanamo Bay session up, I've got 2 things for y'all. First, I'm giving away this alarm clock to celebrate hitting 1,000 subs. Better late than never, right? But it's just the alarm clock part, not the sentry gun. I don't want a blinded eye on my conscience or on my court records. Don't worry though, it will still fully operate in all of its glory, just without the gentle touch to wake you up. Check the video description and my community post to see how you can enter the giveaway. Lastly, I again want to thank FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video and hooking me up with this sweet C7 Max chair. Their Black Friday sale is coming and you can grab awesome discounts on FlexiSpot standing desks, ergonomic chairs, and more. Use my code 24BFC7 to save an extra $50 on the C7 Max chair. You also have the opportunity to win free stuff, which is a pretty good price if you ask me. Treat yourself to a comfortable workstation or chair this Black Friday. Alright, if you're still here, thanks for watching, and whisper sweet nothings to the subscribe button if you want to see me build more stupider things.